The year 2024 will be etched in American history as one of the most tumultuous and consequential election cycles ever witnessed. Against all odds, Donald J. Trump, a man who had been impeached twice and faced numerous legal battles, reclaimed the presidency. His victory marked a stunning comeback, making him the second president in U.S. history to win non-consecutive terms. This was not just a political victory, it was a cultural earthquake. Trump's win defied the expectations of pollsters and pundits who had predicted a comfortable victory for the incumbent Biden-Harris ticket. He managed to secure both the Electoral College and the popular vote, a feat Republicans hadn't achieved in decades. However, the victory was far from a landslide. The margins were razor-thin, particularly in key battleground states. This narrow victory set the stage for a deeply divided nation to grapple with the implications of his return. Questions arose about the future of American democracy and the direction the country would take under a second Trump administration. It was clear that the nation was on a knife's edge. The political landscape after the 2024 election was as polarized as ever, if not more so. Trump's return to power signaled a resurgence of the populist wave that had swept him into office in 2016. It was a testament to his enduring appeal among a significant portion of the electorate. The events leading up to the 2024 election were nothing short of extraordinary. Donald Trump, facing multiple felony charges related to his business dealings, became the first former president in U.S. history to be convicted of a crime. This unprecedented event sent shockwaves through the nation and ignited a firestorm of debate about the rule of law and the politicization of the justice system. Adding to the drama, Trump survived not one but two assassination attempts during the campaign season. These incidents, while unsuccessful, heightened the sense of chaos and vulnerability surrounding the election. They also served to further galvanize Trump's base, who viewed him as a victim of a deep state conspiracy. The media coverage of these events was relentless, often sensationalized, and further deepened the partisan divide. Trump, a master of manipulating the media, used these events to his advantage, portraying himself as a martyr and fueling the narrative that the system was rigged against him. Despite the turmoil and legal battles, Trump remained a formidable force in American politics. He continued to hold rallies across the country, drawing massive crowds of fervent supporters. His message resonated with those who felt left behind by the political establishment and yearned for a return to a perceived era of American greatness. While the events of 2024 undoubtedly played a role in Trump's victory, it was the deep-seated dissatisfaction with the Biden-Harris administration that ultimately propelled him back to the White House. The economy, a key indicator of voter sentiment, had been struggling under the weight of inflation and stagnant wages. Many Americans felt that the Biden administration's policies had done little to alleviate their economic anxieties. Immigration was another hot-button issue that fueled voter discontent. The Biden administration's efforts to reform the immigration system were met with fierce opposition from Republicans, who accused them of being soft on border security. This resonated with voters who felt that their concerns about illegal immigration were being ignored. Beyond specific policy issues, there was a broader sense of disillusionment with the direction of the country. The COVID-19 pandemic, while receding, had left its mark on the national psyche. Many Americans felt exhausted by the constant state of crisis and yearned for a return to normalcy. Trump, with his promises to make America great again, tapped into this wellspring of discontent. He presented himself as a strong leader who could restore order and prosperity. His message resonated with those who felt that the Biden administration was out of touch with their concerns and offered a return to a more familiar if turbulent past. Despite his historic comeback, Trump's victory in 2024 was far from a resounding endorsement of his agenda. His narrow margins of victory, both in the popular vote and the Electoral College, indicated a deeply divided nation. The fact that Democrats retained control of the House of Representatives further underscored the lack of a clear mandate for Trump and the Republican Party. This lack of a mandate presented both challenges and opportunities for the incoming administration. On the one hand, it meant that Trump would have to tread carefully and seek bipartisan support for his legislative initiatives. The days of governing by executive order and pushing through controversial policies with a Republican-controlled Congress were over. On the other hand, the narrow victory could also be interpreted as an opportunity for Trump to govern from a more moderate stance. With no clear mandate for radical change, he could potentially use his political capital to bridge the partisan divide and address the concerns of all Americans. However, given Trump's history of divisive rhetoric and his penchant for governing from the extremes, it remained to be seen whether he would embrace a more conciliatory approach. The nation held its breath, waiting to see whether the 47th president would usher in an era of unity or further exacerbate the existing divisions. The 2024 election presented a unique set of opportunities and challenges for the Republican Party. On the one hand, they had regained the White House and had a chance to enact their legislative priorities with a Trump presidency. However, the narrow margins of victory and the continued Democratic control of the House of Representatives meant that their ability to implement sweeping changes was severely limited. One of the biggest challenges facing the Republican Party was internal division. The party was deeply split between traditional conservatives, who favored fiscal responsibility and limited government, and the more populist, nationalist wing, which had coalesced around Trump. Bridging this divide and finding common ground on key issues would be crucial for the party's success. Another challenge for Republicans was the changing demographics of the electorate. The Republican base was shrinking, while the Democratic base was growing. To remain competitive in future elections, the Republican Party would need to find a way to appeal to a broader range of voters, including minorities and young people. Despite these challenges, Republicans also had reasons for optimism. The economy, while still struggling, showed signs of improvement. If Trump could deliver on his promises of economic growth and job creation, it would go a long way towards solidifying his support and boosting Republican prospects in future elections. The political landscape in the aftermath of the 2024 election was uncertain, with experts offering a range of opinions on the future. Some, like conservative political scientist Wayne Steger, believed that the election results reflected a fundamental shift in the electorate towards conservative values. They argued that the Democratic Party was out of touch with the concerns of ordinary Americans, and that the Republican Party was well positioned for long-term success. Others, like Barry Burden, a professor of political science at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, cautioned against reading too much into the election results. They argued that Trump's victory was more a reflection of dissatisfaction with the incumbent administration than a resounding endorsement of the Republican Party. Jack Pitney, a professor of government at Claremont McKenna College, offered a more nuanced perspective. He argued that while Democrats faced an uphill battle in the short term, they were well positioned to regain ground in the 2026 midterm elections and the 2028 presidential election. He pointed to historical trends, such as the tendency for the president's party to lose seats in midterm elections, as well as the potential for Trump's divisive presidency to mobilize Democratic voters. Overall, the expert consensus was that the political landscape remained highly fluid. The 2024 election had upended many assumptions about American politics, and it was too early to say with certainty what the long-term consequences would be. The only thing that seemed clear was that the nation was in for a period of continued political turbulence.